Hey, Catalyst crew. Welcome to Catalyst Corner, episode 62. It's Thursday, so we've got Jim F0123 Art on with us, and, yeah, let's get into it. How are you doing, Jim?
I am doing well.
Good.
How are you?
Hot.
Yeah, hot. That's the best word to describe it.
Very hot.
Yes.
Both in temperature and in spirit.
There you go.
Yeah, it's been very, very hot.
Yes. Yeah, summer. It's summer.
Yeah.
What can you do,
Yeah, it's
right?
summer, right?
Summer.
So I'm driving the other day.
Yeah.
Right? Picking up my partner. She works at the hospital. She
Right.
works second shift,
Right.
so we're driving home.
Yep.
There is an all-out, I don't want to call it a riot.
Oh,
There's cops. There's citizens.
really?
Over by the 7-Eleven.
Oh.
What are you doing?
Oh, okay. They have an episode of Cops right there.
So, that's a little weird thing. What I want to talk about, though, before we get into the episode is I have noticed that there are a lot of scooters.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about like Vespas or anything like that. I'm talking about fucking electric scooters.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
There's a guy who must live in my vicinity,
Okay.
right? I've probably seen him 10 times. Dude is driving that scooter like it's a motor vehicle.
Yeah.
He's almost gotten hit by me like twice because he keeps weaving.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Well, they have these, again, they have all these stations now where you can get the motorized bikes, you know what I mean? You pick them up one place, you drop them off at another place. You have those on, through the towns now, and you got the scooters and things like that. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, we can go on the road just like a regular vehicle.
And that's
it's
fine,
like,
but just don't drive like a fucking asshole.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, dude, yes, we're all going to obey the rules of the road, but if something happens...
No. This guy, right? This is his scooter.
Yeah.
Because he's got the fucking
Oh, that's
blinking
his-
light.
oh, it's
Listen,
his.
he's sitting down on it, right?
Okay.
It's got blinking fucking lights.
Of course
and
it does.
He's going fast.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going like, this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like the first interaction we ever had, he almost cut in front of me. Right, he was driving on the sidewalk, and then he wanted to go to the other side of the road. So he almost cuts in front of me, even though I have a green light type of thing. He's with a girl, and she starts screaming at him.
Nice.
Like what are you fucking doing?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm thinking
You
like,
idiot. You're going to get killed.
right? But I'm thinking like one time interact. There's no fucking way I'm going to see
Right,
this guy
right.
again. Like that's such a weird.
Yeah.
I see him fucking maybe twice a week.
He's the king of the road.
Yeah, he's a bit of a a bit of a rival.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
I see him and it's just like, oh, this motherfucker again.
Yeah. There you go.
What about you? Anything wild?
I do not have anything wild at the moment.
All right. Well, I want to talk about a positive thing.
Yes.
Before we get into the negative dump. So the pictures for Deadpool 3 came out.
Yes.
And for the most part, very excited.
Yes. Yes. Now, the only negative, and I'll get the negative out of the way.
Get it out of your system.
The picture of Deadpool and Wolverine walking side by side just really, to me, strengthens the fact that I don't like Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine.
It absolutely highlights what a big man he is. Yeah,
it just takes me out of the character.
Sure, I'm with you on that. Obviously, the height thing has always been kind of a huge issue. Now, that being said, we finally have him in a yellow suit.
Yeah,
like that is what a full circle moment.
So what's excellent, and this was speculated elsewhere, so I'm just gonna bring it up. The suit is reminiscent of the X-Men 97 classic cartoon that we all love.
Right.
So, and then one of the other stills is, it looks like there's somewhat of a dystopian type of world that they're...
Yeah, I think what we're getting is like multiple Wolverines is the theory.
So...
Because I saw him dressed as Logan, from the,
Well, they're on a destroyed 20th Century Fox logo.
Yeah.
So, is this obviously they're letting you know, hey, that's dead. That universe is dead.
Right,
it's being
right.
absorbed here. But, are we getting the classic 97 X-Men cartoon in real life? Because if that's who he is, then that's going to be awesome. That's going to be so cool.
So the theory that I heard is that it's going to be sort of a multiverse type of situation where we have multiple Wolverines and shit. I am very down for Hugh Jackman playing as Logan, playing as 2000 X-Men.
Yep.
Playing as 97 cartoon. If he wants to play multiple,
Weapon X, whatever.
I'm down for all of that. Now, Disney, who I will confidently say has had more flops than hits in the last 5 years, must believe in this because they have moved it up 6 months, usually a couple months maybe.
Well, so the reason that I think they'll believe in it is because it's the director who did Deadpool 2, right? So they didn't get one of their shitty writers who know nothing about the lore and know nothing about the characters.
Right. It's rated R.
Right. It's rated R, exactly like the last two.
Right.
So you've got somebody who's competent that knows these characters and knows how to write for these characters. And I think you're going to get a really much like James Gunn with Guardians of the Galaxy. This is, just a third continuation from the same guy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's not going to be something that saves the Marvel franchise.
No, hell no.
But I think it'll be one of those, Marvel's in a very unique position because if they can get their shit together, I still think there's enough juice in the tank to, the tinder's still dry, so if you can get that spark, you can get people passionate about it again.
Right. I mean, you got to get by the Marvels because that's going to be an ultimate flop.
The Marvels is going to tank.
Right. But
they're already there's speculation that they're bracing for it.
Right. But then if you can get to Deadpool 3 and Fantastic Four and Blade, right? If that's what you can get to next, and that's your next wave, and you can be done with this multiverse saga, which just is not working.
No, you
can definitely reclaim. I don't think you'll ever get back to what it was.
No, it's never going to be
better than what it is.
It'll never be Endgame, right? You're never going to see that level of hype ever again.
No.
But I think that what you have the opportunity to do is that if you obviously, look, the Marvels is coming out. Right? What are we, 3 months away or something, 4 months away from
in
the
November,
Marvels? Right. So that's coming out.
Yeah, it's coming. No doubt.
And I've said this to you before, even if it's just fine, even if it's just meh, that's a fail.
Right.
Marvel's, regardless of how you feel about Brie Larson and Captain Marvel and all that shit, there is not a level of excitement for the Marvels.
No.
Right?
No, there isn't.
Even to the level of Wakanda Forever.
Right.
Right? So I think Disney is well aware that this is going to be a hit. They're going to take a hit, I should say.
Right.
And I think the smart play, and if Deadpool says nothing else, it says, look, we know what you want. We know what you want as an audience. We're going to give it to you.
Right.
Right?
Much like Spider-Man No Way Home did.
And Across the Spider-Verse.
Right.
But even deeper than that, because it's not we're not even getting the Hollywood bullshit redesign of the costumes.
Right.
It's like, oh, here's your yellow and blue Wolverine. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah. I mean, again, aesthetically speaking, it looks great. Again, the height thing bothers me, but put that aside.
If you put that aside, the dynamic between Reynolds and Jackman
is tremendous.
Right. You have the potential to have at least an $800 million flick.
Right. I mean, again, if what we're getting, and this is rumor, is Deadpool is going to go across the universe and fight Wolverine in every universe.
That's hilarious.
Who's not going to go see that? Right. I mean, that is going to 800. It's going to rival any of the stuff that came out this past year. You know, it's going to get your 850, 900. It'll get there. Maybe even $1 billion. That could potentially be $1 billion, because if you're going to bring in all of these other cameos as well. I mean, they're talking Jennifer Garner is going to be...
Even Ben Affleck.
Right, Ben Affleck they're talking about.
Daredevil.
Right.
Like that to me, if you get Ben Affleck as Daredevil, you are doing some insane shit.
Right. So I'm saying, you listen to, there's talk that Halle Berry might be reprising her role, and James Marsden and Famke Janssen, right? If you get all, and Patrick Stewart said he's in it. He came out and said he's in it.
So that's what I'm saying is look, from the beginning, from Deadpool 1, they know what they're doing.
Right. Absolutely.
You nailed Deadpool. Now it took fucking X-Men Origins with that fucking...
Yeah.
Or whatever the movie... Not Origins. Wolverine. Whatever the fuck it was with still Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, the Wolverine, yeah.
Holy shit. It took a complete bastardization of the character to get here.
Right.
But you nailed it.
Yeah, you absolutely nailed it.
You brought the white eyes. That was the first fucking hero that had the white eyes.
Which... still baffles me to this day that if you can do it, why isn't it done on every costume that requires
they
that?
do it with Spider-Man now and shit. Like they're doing it now.
But I'm saying, like Batman, why do we have to have black makeup under his eyes if we can do the white eyes on the mask?
It's weird. I don't know. But the point is that I feel confident, and now after seeing just the first pictures, I think that this is going to be a home run.
I do too. But
which again, people, I've talked to people, outside of the cast and stuff, and they're like, you're very anti-Disney, and it's like, you're wrong. Yeah. I don't want Disney to fit. This is not me going like, yeah, I can't wait till the mouse burns. No, but because they own everything I love.
Right. The problem I see though is, to me, it looks like an outlier. Right? I don't
think
see...
it's like a Werewolf by Night in Phase 4 type of thing.
Well, I mean, again, if you're gonna say it's part 3, right?
Yeah.
Then how many more Deadpool movies are you actually gonna do? You know what I mean? Like this may be the only Deadpool movie that we get, and then Deadpool just becomes a character in other movies. Now, potentially they could do more. I'm sure they have an intention of doing a trilogy, just like they always do.
So,
but
just to be clear, though, it's not, to me, this is the way I look at it. It's not so much about getting more Deadpool, right? It's about a property that they respect the character, they stay as true to the source material, as any movie is done, right?
Right.
And if that's a home run, then the executives have to acknowledge that that is the shit that sells tickets.
Right. But unfortunately, as we know, and we've talked about a numerous amount of times, no one gives a shit in Hollywood about that. They want it to be done the way they want it. Screw the lore, screw the fans, screw the stories that are in the comics that made these characters beloved. We're going to make it for your modern audience, and we're going to put it through the Disney way. And, this movie looks like it's not going to be that, but is that just because you want to do this movie for fan service and, give the fans something to try to win them back, and then you're going to put it right through the Disney way?
But
or you think you're going to do these again? No, it's never going to win. But I just don't have any faith in Disney that this is going to be the new way.
Well, right. I understand what you're saying, but the only way I can take any type of positive spin on it is just that if they keep releasing, things like The Last of Us, or things like, this Deadpool film that's coming out, that eventually it's going to get through it'll break through the ego wall. They'll probably just claim it. You know what they'll do? They'll end up saying something along the lines of like, I don't know that it would be Iger or anything, but it would just be like, oh, I finally broke through, and now we're going to do things my way, the way I really wanted to do them, even though that's total bullshit.
Right, but then you look at, like I said, you look at Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, though, and it was done, James Gunn's way, and it was a success.
Right, that's the only positive I've heard coming out of the thing is that Wakanda Forever was in a very weird spot, because obviously it was the goodbye to Chadwick Boseman.
Right.
And people were there was still that kind of like, oh, we like Black Panther, like it's pretty, and they defended it, right?
Sure.
But nobody talks about it now because it wasn't
a good movie.
It wasn't particularly good. It was very bloated.
No, it was not a good movie.
The CGI was terrible.
Yeah. No, but my fear here is, though, Guardians of the Galaxy did well.
Yeah.
No one talks about that movie at all.
Well, the damage is kind of done at this point.
And Secret Invasion then comes out and it's tanking. So no goodwill was made, even though people supported that. They're not supporting Marvel.
Here's the problem, though, is that you're supporting James Gunn in that.
That's what I mean.
But
that's what I mean.
But you know he's gone.
Right. But you still wanted to support him in his, because he gave you 3 great movies, and you were going to show your support for what he did for that franchise.
Right.
And even though you knew he was gone and this was it, you were still going to show your support, and you got what you wanted.
Let me paint it to you like this then.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Deadpool is a home run.
Right.
And then we get like 2 or 3 more shitty flicks.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know, Fantastic Four is a home run.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 or 3 more shitty flicks, and then Blade's a home run. Right?
Yeah.
That, to me, is fine. Because I would rather go, all right, I dig Deadpool, I dig Fantastic Four, and I dig Blade, and fuck everything else. You know what I mean? And what you can do is you can cobble together, 4 or 5 characters that people are into.
Yeah.
Through all the shit.
Well, see, I mean, but again, that we had that, right? I mean, Iron Man came out, and it wasn't, a big success because it just came out, right? But Iron Man 2 wasn't well liked, right? Thor did okay.
Yeah.
Captain America, the First Avenger, did okay.
Which is
but
crazy,
Winter Soldier did really
flick.
well. Right. But I'm saying you got those really good ones, and you got some good, okay ones. But the balance was there, right? And I mean, it was kind of the overall, it was the same thing.
But that's what I'm saying to you, is that if they keep Deadpool the way Deadpool's supposed to be, I go, all right, well, we have Deadpool now, right? And then if I got to do 2, there's a Miss Marvel movie or whatever, like shit that the formula doesn't seem to work, but for whatever reason they keep cranking them out.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. And then they do Fantastic Four, and that hits real hard. It's like, okay, well, here's another pillar, right? And so then what you do is you're mimicking sort of the phase 2 and 3 of...
Right. Except the thing is, if you do Deadpool and it hits really large, and then you do She-Hulk and it's completely, totally different...
Are they talking about doing more She-Hulk?
No. But you know what I'm saying? Like the tone and the right? So if you get that and it tanks... Right, well, that's not what... I think that that's not right. If they do Deadpool and they do something close to Deadpool and it doesn't hit as well, but it was still enjoyable, that's fine. But if you do something that's like this, and then all of a sudden the next movie is completely, tonally different, aesthetically different, it's got all the messaging in it, then I don't, who's going to want that?
Right. I understand. I'm kind of with you on that because it's very strange, the landscape right now. Mm-hmm. Let's move on a little bit, and then we'll circle back around.
Sure.
So, The Witcher Season 3, Part 1.
Yes.
What a fucking mouthful that is. Came out.
Yes.
And Episode 1 did about as good as Episode 1 of Season 2.
Right.
And then... episode over episode they had
fallen off a cliff
to the point where they've lost half their audience. Which to nobody's surprise except for Netflix.
Right.
And when you hear about what people are saying, it's fucking boring.
Right.
Because I said this from the beginning, right? I think it's cool the character they got to play Yen. I think Ciri was, they nailed her down. Season 2, they fixed Trisha's hair, so that was fine. But at its core, I don't fucking care what the mages are doing. I don't.
Right.
I don't fucking care. It's boring.
Sure.
I want to see Geralt hunting monsters, fucking women, fighting, like... That's what I want to see.
Right, and what you're getting is him sitting by a bedside. Right. You're getting him sitting on a set of rocks.
Right, because it's
as the girls do all the action.
It's all the maid shit.
Right.
Because you know, and here's the thing. I want to see Ciri fight fucking monsters too.
Yeah.
But that's what I want to see. I want to see Geralt and Ciri fighting monsters. That's what I like.
Sure.
That's what the majority of the fans like.
Right.
Nobody wants to see Yennefer doing anything.
No, not at all. No.
A little bit here and there. They want to see Dandelion doing his shit.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they want.
Right. Yeah, she can help out, and she could be a supporting character to help.
But that
the
was
fight.
always her role in the books and in the games, right? Was that she's a very powerful mage,
right?
So when shit got real, she was a MacGuffin. Like you could just she would come in and help you do the impossible. Right. And that Geralt and her had this tumultuous relationship. You know, they did. Will they again? Are they going to be together?
Right.
That type of shit.
Sure.
Which they could have played up phenomenally. But instead, they wanted to focus so fucking hard on the mages.
Right. And the thing is, if you have people that can do magic and just, you know, wave your hands and destroy the monsters, then what the hell do you need him for?
But the thing of it is, right? The thing of it is that if you want to do that show exists. The magicians,
you could,
Merlin.
Right.
Like,
you could have done that as opposed to Blood Origin. You could have done a show like that.
Right. But that shit's old hat.
Right.
There is no Witcher show.
No.
You know what I mean? There's nothing. That's why it hits so hard. There's no Monster Hunter show.
Right, exactly.
And so, obviously, Cavill is gone. Right. And I thought it was really funny, you know, the desperate plea that Netflix put out on social media of just like, hey, Cavill's still in it.
Right.
And it's like, right, but you've neutered the character.
Right.
You've neutered him. And people who are fans of the character, or even take it a step further, people who are fans of Cavill, right? That's two subsections of people that are saying, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
And then the people that are such diehards that hold on and start watching the season and it's boring. Like, this is your survival.
Right.
This is your ride or die season, and the first fucking half of the season is a snooze fest.
Well, you know, here's the thing, and I said this to you on the last cast, right? I mean, obviously, the season that came out is the reason Cavill quit.
Right.
Because of how bad it is, and he hated it, and he walked away. So you knew going into this thing that it's that bad that it caused Cavill to quit. The reason why the first episode did what it did was because people were, is it really that bad? They tuned in and like, yep.
Yeah.
And then everybody said, fuck this. I'm not sticking around for that garbage.
I heard, yep, Cavill's still good.
Right.
Which, you know.
Of course. He still gave it his all.
Because he's Geralt.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's like, oh, there's, you know, you plop Geralt into this fucking train wreck, but he's still there.
Right.
I don't know if Netflix realized the train wreck that they had on their hand.
No.
The thing is that when he announced it, I knew. I was like, that series is done.
Of course. Who's gonna support that dead end? And we said that about the Flash, right? If you come out and tell us it's a dead end,
yeah, but
we're not going to support it.
They didn't say it was a dead end. They said, "Oh, we got another actor." But I knew.
No. But what I'm saying is, once you knew that Cavill is gone, and he quit, and season 3 is the end, a lot of people are just gonna move on to something else. They're not going to give another opportunity.
Well, the thing of it is, right, is that I'm a pretty diehard Witcher fan, right? You know this.
Sure, absolutely.
And it was always almost begrudgingly watching the show because there were moments where I was like, there you go.
Right.
There he is. There's Geralt. And it's like maybe they'll figure it out as it gets a little more, you know, time and meat. And they just didn't.
And you'd think that maybe they'd listen to him, right? Maybe somebody in, you know, a higher up would say, why don't we listen to this guy? He sounds like he knows what he's talking about. It sounds like a better idea.
Well, he's passionate about it. Like, but
no one does. But that's the problem. No one listens to the people with the passion and the understanding and the knowledge. They go with people that actively hate the source material. Those are the people that are getting the final say.
Right, but either actively hate it or don't understand it. Like, you know what I mean?
These people actively hate it,
I know.
though.
They were
actively hate it.
They were mocking Sapkowski's work.
Right.
And again, when you watch it, that comes through.
Well, sure it does.
Right? And the only saving grace was the fact that Cavill fucking loved this character.
Right.
And that showed.
Right. Exactly.
So, I mean, I am very surprised. I'm surprised they split it into 2. Right?
Yeah.
But the only thing I can think of is the second half must be at least better than the first half. At
Maybe.
least it has to be, because if it wasn't, right, they knew the first half is garbage. They knew it was. the only way you're going to get people to watch the second half is if you give people some time and then drop it.
Either that or they're not going to release the second half because it's so bad.
I can't imagine.
I don't think that they would do that either, but I mean,
I'm just saying, like, it's coming out soon. I think it comes out at the end of the month or whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing is that that's if you have anything good in the second half,
right?
If the first half is that bad where you lost half your audience by the end of the episodes, hopefully the second half is. No,
I don't think you're going to get any of the people that have walked away. I don't think you're going to get back at all for the second half.
I don't either.
So where the first half ends, I think, is where the second half will begin, and it'll shrink from there.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah,
and if I'm Netflix, shut it down.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way they're getting, like, if they make it, they're crazy.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, if they make it and it really fails, then you put Liam Hemsworth in a situation that, Yeah,
but part of it's on him for even taking the fucking role.
Sure, but what roles is he offered? You know what I mean? Like,
well,
this is a big role of a lifetime for him, so why not take it? You know what I mean?
Like, look.
Like, if it's bad, is it going to hurt his career? His career really isn't nowhere anyway.
So here's the thing. Let's say he comes in, right, and he spent the last 6 months reading the books and playing the games, and he's not Cavill, but he does his own Geralt, and it's still fucking Geralt.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. Even if he nails it, right, if LHS fucking continues to bastardize the source material, it will not.
No,
it will not be successful.
No, not at all, not at all. And I think that just setting up for failure is all we're doing at this point.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah.
What else you got?
I want to talk about Indiana Jones for a second, and something that really is bothering me.
The fact that it exists.
The fact that it exists.
I wish I had a Dial of Destiny.
No, all the review sites that are reviewing this movie.
Yeah.
Right? Look, we know it tanked. We know it's an awful movie.
I think they're saying it's worse than The Flash.
Right. And anybody that sits there and tries to pretend, and I've seen some, comic book pros and people.
The only positive I've heard is that the beginning chase is fun.
Yeah. But, I've heard people try to prop it up, and I'm like, come on, stop shilling. What you're saying is wrong. We know that what you're saying is, it's not fun. It's not exciting. It doesn't feel like Indiana Jones. Stop with the bullshit. We know that's not real. Stop trying to, play. I don't know what, if you're trying to get work somewhere, whatever the case might be. Look, the movie didn't do well. It's extremely boring. And we all know one of the biggest things that was despised about this movie was Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
I heard she is
her performance.
So mean.
Right, so mean, just so arrogant, just a dislikable, and people don't really care for her in real life, but it's like amplified to 11 in the movie. Here's what troubles me, though, when we're talking about all the failures of this movie, in particular Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I don't like that 90% of the reviewers are talking about her looks.
Why are they talking about her looks?
Saying that she's unattractive.
What the fuck does that matter?
Right. That's my whole point. Look,
it's not about it's not because you're not a traditional beauty,
right? But that is what a lot of people keep on saying. Well, she's ugly. She looks like a horse. This, that, and the other. A million insults. And
that's
I'm like,
the lowest hanging fruit.
I'm like, look, I agree with everything you say about Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and I don't care about. Again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I don't care how you feel one way or the other about her appearance, but what the fuck does her appearance and what she looks like have to do? Either it was a well-written character and she performed it well, or she didn't. If this was Margot Robbie in this role,
it would still be trash.
It would still be the same thing.
Right.
So it blows my mind, and I've heard it.
It's just low-hanging fruit.
Right. But if it was a one-off, that'd be one thing. I've heard it at least 7, 8, 10 times
that
from other...
That bothers me.
It bothers
me. That to me should have no bearing.
No, and I don't understand. That's not why people don't like it.
Right, but it if her character was like hyped up to be this fucking exotic beauty and everyone Helena Troy type of shit, and then she walked out, sure, you can make fun of it there, right? But if you're not doing something where beauty is part of her person, Cleopatra, things like that. If you're not doing something where beauty is part of the personality, it shouldn't fucking matter. It shouldn't matter. Hollywood has said we're down with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, right? So that's it. She's gotten the stamp. Now the character's insufferable because she's a cunt. Right.
That's the problem.
Right. It has nothing to do with how she looks.
It starts and ends with the fact that she is a detestable character.
Right.
And the way she was written was deplorable.
You know what it is, maybe? And this could be wrong. This could be conspiratorial.
Okay.
Is that if they dig at her looks, right, then they can just come out and just be like, well, you don't like her because she's ugly.
Right.
Right? You don't have to actually face the true problem, right, of maybe she's either not a great writer, or the characters that she creates and plays suck.
Right.
Right? So supposedly she's involved in the new Tomb Raider movie. At least that's still on the table. I think if this tanks, you got to wash your hands.
Oh, it's going to tank. I mean, there's no doubt it's going to tank.
But this is me trying to be unbiased about it. Like Indiana Jones is dead.
Right. But see, here's the thing, right? And again, I just had to say my piece on that because
that's such a weird thing to get.
Me because I don't
care for that either.
It's like I don't, somebody can say someone's beautiful. Like there are a lot of people I guarantee that find Phoebe Waller-Bridge to be very attractive. And you're not wrong if that's the way you feel. You're not wrong.
Right, but like I said, if it's not specifically part of the character's personality...
It shouldn't matter whatsoever.
It doesn't matter how she looks.
But going back to Tomb Raider, right, they asked her about Lara Croft's physical appearance.
Right.
And obviously, Lara Croft is, heavy on top, right, like a D cup, typically, as she's portrayed.
Here's the thing. Lara Croft got a redesign... with the new games and stuff,
which is a little bit more athletic.
And then in the movie that came out, which was, I'm going to say this right now, was relatively good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
That's kind of like the Lara Croft, that I'm like, all right, cool. That's very true to form now.
Right.
Yeah. In the 90s, she was very voluptuous. You had Angelina Jolie play her.
Yeah.
But now, right. She is that sort of athletic kind of...
Yeah, and, so that question was posed to her, and, again, her, if you're looking at it and you're saying, well, even that is a little bit too busty, right? They can't crawl through rocks in small spaces, and then you look at Phoebe Waller-Bridge herself, and I'm like, you're doing an insert now. Now you're going to make it, again, you're very thin.
So here's the problem.
And now you're going to make this, and it's going to change the again. You're going to slightly change the character that people like.
Right. So here's the problem. Right, is that if she plays Lara, Lara's beauty was part of her character.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
That's my point.
So again, it wasn't her whole character. She's a genius.
Right.
She's an adventurer.
Right.
She's basically female Indiana Jones.
Exactly.
Right? So, but she's also gorgeous. Like that is a trait of the character.
Right.
She has it all.
Right. Exactly.
So,
you can't take that away.
Right. So if she plays Lara, and then everyone goes, oof.
Right.
I think that's totally justified.
Right.
But for this character, Helena Shaw,
it's a made-up character that doesn't exist up until this movie.
Right. Doesn't have any bearing on how she looks. Like the character in Fleabag doesn't matter.
No, doesn't matter. And that's the thing. So it's like, I don't, again, I don't think that is any way, shape, or form a talking point that should have been used as any reason why Dial of Destiny flopped as big as it did. There's a laundry list of reasons.
Like that's such an insult to the audience.
Right. It is.
To say that movie was disliked because of the way someone looks.
Right. Like I said, you have a giant list that you can say why this movie flopped. That is categorically not one of the reasons.
No.
And to go out there and be saying it and talking about it as a real reason really just is low class to me. I don't appreciate anybody that said that.
So I don't take a lot of stock in reviews, right?
No.
Generally, the way that I kind of digest them is I really just care about the number.
Sure.
So I'll look at the number. If there's something that doesn't make sense, maybe I'll read it.
Right.
But on both sides, I want to see what the critic number is, and I want to see what the audience number is, and then I'm going to go see it if I deem it, if it's something I'm interested in.
Right.
And go, all right, where does my number align?
Yeah, right. Yeah, where do I fit in?
That's really all I care about.
Right.
I don't. If Indiana Jones is bad, I don't care why you think it's bad.
Right. Exactly.
I'm gonna watch it and go, oh yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, and you probably will align on a lot of reasons why it's bad.
But not being a traditional Hollywood beauty is as fucking, that was never anything we've ever brought up.
No.
Like, who fucking cares?
Right, and that's that's why I'm saying if I heard it by one jackass who said it, it'd be like,
That's
whatever.
such a misogynistic fucking comment.
But I've heard it multiple times.
But that's the thing, is that, like, are these people just opportunists? Like, are they misogynistic, but they're faux woke? They're phoning in this sort of woke attitude, but it slips. Like, is that what it is?
It could be.
I don't understand that. Like,
No.
anybody that fucking wrote a review and mentions her looks, fuck you.
Yeah,
fuck you. Get a fucking new job.
Yeah, do better than that. Be better than that.
Yeah,
please.
that's a shitty fucking thing to do. Now, that being said, shame on you guys for murdering Indiana Jones.
Right.
But,
well, that's it. Yeah.
right. But that's a whole different issue.
Right. Exactly.
So, staying in line with kind of Disney and all that. There was a very interesting situation that happened last week. So Disney, Warner Brothers, and Netflix all fired their heads of diversity.
Yes.
Now,
Big change.
Now Disney was the first to do it.
Yep.
And they went fucking hard. Like, they went so hard that the email got shut off, and then HR was like, you report to so and so now, right?
Yeah.
Warner Brothers.
I think that the diversity chief, whoever it was that got fired at Disney, wasn't even through the door before Zaslav did his.
Right. So then once they saw that it's okay to do that, Warner Brothers followed suit, right? And again, it was a little kinder.
Right.
And then Netflix, being the kindest, gave them X amount of time, let them say,
right,
transition and that whole thing. Now, the reason why that's interesting, they're not eliminating the diversity
no, not
department.
At all. Not at all.
But what I think is interesting about it is it was I'm glad that these companies have a diversity department, because
Sure.
there was a huge lack of diversity.
Sure, yeah, the department is needed
Sure.
for certain reasons
Right.
and resources.
But I think what ended up happening was, and this is industry wide, you put these people in their jobs, right? And you're paying them a fuck ton of money.
Right.
Because of course you are.
Of course.
And they do a pretty good job of diversifying, content, right?
Right.
But then once you achieve that goal, right, there's nowhere for you to go.
Right.
So either your position is like, good job well done, now fuck off, or you have to find, problems, basically.
Right.
And if you look for problems, you're going to find them.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And I think that's really and truly what happened.
Right. Well, so Image Comics,
Yep.
as we know,
Yep.
had a they had a group of their workers create a union.
Okay.
Okay, and Image said, "Sure, we can't fight that. If you want to create a union, we have to allow it. Give us your terms, and we'll
start the negotiation.
We're starting the negotiations. One of the terms that they brought was they wanted a say in the creative projects and who Image would work with to put out comic books. And Image said, yeah, go fuck yourself. That'll never happen. You fucking pencil pushers are not going to ever take part in the creative process.
That's the problem, is that the creatives want to be a part of the creative process, and the businessmen don't want it.
And so what happens is, same thing here, the diversity group now wants a say in everything that you do. They had their job in what they were hired to do,
right? And
then all of a sudden it became, no, I want to oversee everything.
You're saying that group, like that, they wanted their fingers in it.
The union from Image wanted to be the deciding factor. If they didn't like you, then they wouldn't let you put out a comic at Image.
No, fuck that.
And McFarlane and
those guys said no way.
Said there's no chance that'll ever happen, right? So, but it's the same thing. They wanted these people that get the coffee and put out memos wanted a part in the creative process.
No, you can't.
And they said absolutely not. That's never going to happen.
The thing of it is that everyone can be creative, right? But the capitalist mentality is very anti sort of creative, just by design.
Sure.
Right? And if you're the businessman, that's cool, but you're leaning on to the capitalist side of it.
Right.
So if that's where you pour your energy, that's cool. You do you.
Right.
But you can't fucking create and be concerned with the capital.
Right. But then it becomes, the heads of diversity were like, okay, let me see the list of actors that you are looking.
This is what happens.
Nope.
I need to justify my job.
Right.
There's going to be a checklist every time.
Right.
And then it goes even deeper, because then the Oscars say, well, if you don't have XYZ, if you don't fill out this checkbox, no Oscar for you.
Right, exactly.
But at the same time, right, who fucking cares about Oscars?
No, no one cares about that besides Oscars, actors themselves.
Right, but they're not selling tickets.
No.
Winning an Oscar, you're not going like, not anymore.
No.
Like, you won Best Actor, good for you. Nobody fucking cares.
Let me tell you something. I could probably go back 30 years, and the Oscar for Best Picture, I probably have seen one in like 30 years.
No, I've seen a couple. I mean, Godfather won, right? I think once. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I'm being facetious, but my point is that most of the time, the winner of Best Picture is a movie I would never go see.
Right.
Now, well, I'm not saying it wasn't
a lot
deserving.
Of times it's Oscar bait too, though, right?
But it's like, so who cares? A lot of times those movies aren't even making money. They could be losers at the box office. They may not even be successcul, but who's ever making the decisions decides that they're Oscar worthy. So what does it matter?
Right. And I think where we're at right now is that, because I've been puzzling this when all three of those guys fired, the heads of the diversities. I was like, we always like to shit on, and this is not me apologizing, we always like to shit on Iger and Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Chapek and all those guys. And Zaslav, right? Who is a nut.
Right.
But, like, I'm thinking to myself, like, no problem is simple. Right. And then if you start, now they're firing the diversity heads, and you start thinking about it in that sort of guys, and it's like, it's just a bunch of little things that just pile up, right? You have sort of this mentality that, we have to do the checkbox now, right? And that just feeds into the executives who only know how to do traditional analytics. They have to get the Oscar. They can't get the Oscar if they're not doing the checkboxes.
Right.
These people just want to justify their job at this point. And what we've done is that every movie is an identity politics movie. There has to be the checkbox in every movie, and it has soured the creative process, because you've always put terms and conditions on creatives, but now you're grinding them into the dirt with all this shit.
Right. But and look, I am the farthest thing from an Iger fan. I think he has destroyed Disney. I think he is horrible at his job. I think instead of instead of coming back, they should have looked elsewhere. I think that all of the problems with Disney are on him, 100%.
Well, he's the CEO. That's what you sign up for,
right.
regardless of if it's true or not.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's your fault.
But here's what scares me.
Yeah.
And it's not just him alone. He has a checkbox, and absolutely, he's made no bones about, I'm going to go as woke as possible. He's come out and said it on numerous interviews. It is what it is. But then, if there's somebody else or 2 or 3 other people that are adding to his checkbox, and now there's, a gigantic list of checkbox, well, okay, then this is why we're ultimately seeing all these failures. So again,
because
is Iger...
you're putting shackles on the creatives.
Right. So Iger or all these might be saying like, yes, I'm going to eliminate 3 or 4 checkbox lists. We're still going to have a checkbox,
right?
But I'm going to limit the amount of checkboxes now. We're still going to have a shit ton of checkboxes.
Yeah, but
we had too many.
But
way too many to be successful.
To me, that's a win.
Oh, it's an absolute win.
Yes. Does it still suck if they're still grinding the creatives with all this bullshit? Yes, it still sucks.
Look, those if you liked Marvel Phase 1, 2, and 3, those checkboxes were there then.
Right.
Right? So if we go back to those checkboxes, then you have a potential of getting good movies. But the amount of checkboxes that we've got the past 2 to 3 years is what's killed Disney and the majority of these movie studios.
Right. You can't put everything in every movie. It just doesn't work.
No.
It just doesn't work. They always, it always feels either overstuffed, there's too many characters, there's too many plot points for the characters that you're trying to introduce. Like, it just, you've taken the creative process and just muddied it so much at this point that, of course, everything we're churning out is garbage.
Right.
Of course, audiences aren't showing up because it went from being escapism and fun to being work.
Right. And the thing is, not only are we being preached to, but now we're being preached to 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
Right.
It's not an hour and a half movie anymore.
Because you can't.
Right.
Because there has to be 30 characters with 30 plot points in every movie. So there's no way to do it under 2.5, 3 hours.
No. So we have a boring as hell movie that is preaching to us, and we have to sit there and endure that. And at the same time, we're gonna watch our heroes be deconstructed in front of our eyes, and everything that we love about these heroes, we're gonna be told, nope, they're all pieces of shit.
Right. It's just, it's pretty wild. Now, I will say, we'll have to see kind of what comes of. Now, obviously, these are big companies, right? And it takes a very long time for the for the ripple effect to actually get to us. But I'll be curious to see. Especially, this is the last point I wanted to make with the strike, because now obviously the actors are on strike as well.
Right.
This is the first time since the 60s that both the writers and actors have been on strike together. First time since the 80s that the writers were on, that the actors went on strike. The actors didn't go on strike. This is a big deal.
Right.
And if you remember the last, real writers' strike, some shows took some hits.
Oh yeah,
big
time.
Heroes, remember Heroes?
Yeah.
People loved that shit. That disappeared. So I think what you're gonna see is kind of a reorganization. Now I will say this: that fucking executive that came out and was like, "Oh, the plan is to make sure that they lose their houses." Fuck him.
Yeah,
like. Are you out of your fucking mind? Like, here's the thing. Writers are making a lot of money.
Sure.
But at the same time, everyone is so ready to eat the rich. When you say shit like that, it's like, kill them.
Right.
I'm not advocating for any harm to anyone.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no,
like,
for sure.
You want people to lose their fucking houses?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good message to come across.
That's a great fucking way to do business.
Right.
So, I just think with this strike, though, what we're going to see is, I think media is going to thin out a little bit. It's not. It's going to thin out from a big perspective.
Right.
People are going to watch more YouTube. People are going to watch more online series. You're not going to lose content.
Right.
But it's going to thin itself out, right? And what I would like to see is for them to get back to smaller budget pictures.
Yes.
You know, take a few more creative risks, accept the fact that you're in a fucking creative medium and it cannot be corporate cookie cutter bullshit because it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You want to make iPhones? Fine. Mm-hmm. Make iPhones. You can be fucking the most corporate motherfucker in the world and make iPhones.
Right.
But if you want to tell stories, it doesn't work that way.
Right. And also understand the landscape, right? The international market isn't what it used to be. China doesn't accept our movies like they used to. They make their own now, right? Russia, we're not even giving them anything, right? So the international market isn't as large as it was. It's not even close. So when you go in there with the idea you're going to make $1 billion, that's with taking all the international market and putting that into play, knowing that isn't even close to what it used to be.
Right,
you can't shoot for that anymore.
Take it even a step further, right? Is that I agree with you, but again, and I hate to keep harping on what I call the capitalist mentality, but that mentality is every quarter has to be bigger than the last, or you're a failure.
Right.
So instead of being like, look, some quarters are going to be rougher than others, some years are going to be leaner than others, right? And being realistic, it's always, we have to hit higher and higher numbers. It's like, but you don't.
No, you don't.
You don't have to hit higher and higher numbers. You have mega yachts and shit. You've won.
Right.
Let the creatives be creative now. Like you've won. There's no beating, there's no one's catching up to you.
Right. Get those budgets to 150 million, 170 million.
Right. Roll them back. Like Indiana Jones should never have cost $300 million to make.
It should never have cost $200 million to make.
It really shouldn't have. It cost $20 million to make the first one.
Yeah. I mean, again, you're going in with the mindset of making $1 billion, and it's a rarity. It's an absolute rarity now to get there. So you have to rethink your strategy.
It was always an unsustainable way.
Right.
Right. I mean, you cannot push people the way that people were pushed pre-COVID.
Right.
You can't. And I'm not just talking about in cinema and stuff. This is all corpos. You cannot push people to that degree forever.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't, because people go, all right, enough is enough. And you're seeing that, and I know we keep it focused on media, which, bring it back to that.
Right.
But you're seeing that with the movies. Nobody's going to the theater because you can't expect us to go once a week.
Right.
And pre-COVID, it was once a week, every other week, going to the movies. It's too much.
It's too much. They're too long. And that's the thing. You're asking every weekend almost to give up, 3-4 hours to go to the movies, and that's, and then spend whatever the money is that your movie theaters in your areas cost. But it's again, how are you expecting people to keep up with that in the financial situation that our country is currently in? Not
even just our country, the world, right?
Well, the world in general,
and taking even a step further than just, making it about that. Look at the landscape of entertainment, right? TikTok is like, online content is huge now.
Right.
So it's like, you have to factor that in. You have to factor in that people go on YouTube, that people go on TikTok, that people want to play video games. Like, you have to factor those mediums into the equation. I would rather play a game, a decent game, than go see a decent movie.
Yeah, and the fact that movies come out on streaming, like, a month, 2 months after they come out in theaters. I mean, it's the quickest it's ever been to get into your home. So people are going to look at it and say, 2.5 hours? I'll wait till, I can rent it for
here's the thing.
$4.
Here's the thing. Oppenheimer's, supposedly good. I think that if you want to go see that in theaters, that's the right call.
Sure.
That's an epic sort of, thing to watch. But or Dune even. I think Dune was. Listen, I watched Dune in IMAX, right, and then I watched it again at home, and it was a different experience.
Yeah,
but they're so few and far between now.
But that's the thing, right? When you think of Oppenheimer, right, and you're thinking that's going to be an event, right?
Right.
Is Barbie?
So if they do the double feature, that's great.
No. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying anything's wrong with Barbie.
Good.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying. But does that feel like an event movie?
You're not going to see Barbie in IMAX.
No,
right?
It's not an event.
Right.
It's just a movie.
Right. It's a fun,
Right. So people can skip that going to the movie theater if finances are an issue or time is an issue.
And I'd love to hear back from the audience.
Yes.
Like, if you guys disagree with this, let us know. For me, the only sway the theater has at this point is I don't have the sound system or the screen that you have.
Sure, absolutely.
But the only thing that's good for is epics.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And, there are very, very few epics that I'm willing to go to the movies for.
Right. So absolutely.
I don't know. It's great. Let's put this one to bed.
Yep.
Jim, as always, what do you got going on?
Art.
Yeah.
Drawing, getting it out there.
Yep.
Every single week. Check out the social media. Definitely come by and show some support, please.
All right, guys. So that's episode 62 of the cast. CatalystCrafting.com is the main website. Catalyst Creations NH is the Etsy store. We're on all the social medias. We post every day. We're doing the Mortal Kombat coasters until September. Just got the Threads account, so
nice.
Check that out. But what do you guys think? I mean, are you excited for the new Deadpool? Did you watch The Witcher? Are you looking forward to part 2? Did you like Dial of Destiny? Did you see it? How do you feel about the entire executive diversity department getting laid off from multiple corporations? And what do you think is going to happen as a result of this writer and actor strike? Let us know in the comments. All right, crew. Catch you on the next one.